This is a Hot Pie Media original.
Hey, Jeff, why would you talk about Austin politics? Yeah, I get it. I get it on the front end. I know all about it, and I get why somebody would say, well, there's people all over the state, all over the country, and certainly concentrated in France, apparently, for whatever reason I've yet to figure out. So they don't care about Austin politics. Not true. Actually, it's a pretty safe subject. One, I can give you a primer, which is pretty fascinating when you compare the political environment of Austin, compare it to everywhere else. But I say that it's safe because, well, you're either in the process of moving to Austin, you're thinking about moving to Austin, or you're already here. Since everybody's coming, I figure you might want to at least know, or if you're thinking about coming like everybody else, you probably should at least know. So, I mean, because the net migration here is just, it's unbelievable. It's not slowing down. There's no sign of it slowing down. So I just figure I can talk about Austin politics because you're all coming here. Or you know someone that's coming here. The popular thing to do, I guess this is true of most cities, but most cities have these big... They have big problems. I mean, it's serious stuff. You know, Austin's stuff doesn't feel that serious. But so the popular thing to do, and this is true for some time, but the popular thing to do in Austin is make fun of the mayor. I'm good at it myself. I've called him the funeral home director. I've called him that for quite some time. He's not a great salesman. In fact, he's a terrible salesperson. Mainly because he can't cut through the clutter, right? We live in a media world of clutter. We live in a world, appreciate this. This is true of anywhere. We live in a media world where there's no real nuance. We don't, sort of this TikTok view of everything is, I need 10 seconds. I need a takeaway opinion or else I'm tuning it out. There is no gray area to us. There is no nuance to us. And in fairness to the current mayor of Austin, he's like Mr. Nuance. I mean, he really takes a long time to explain things. And I think he loses 98% of the public who even bothers to pay attention, which is a small percentage anyway. So it's he's a terrible salesman because he can't break it down quickly. And he's not interesting enough, and he's not charismatic enough. In fact, he's the funeral home director. He just is. So it makes it for a pretty tough gig. In a world that needs bold and loud and clear, he's none of those things. So it just means people tune out. And then they end up saying, I'll just make fun of him. I'll make up an opinion about him. I'll make up an opinion about the things that he's saying, and I'll just make fun of him. That's what we think we do overall. And it's easy to do. It's interesting with Austin because the mayor's job is really a weak job. It's in a lot of ways, it's like being governor of Texas. You are, in effect, a face of the franchise, and that's just about it. Your only job, and I've maintained this for some time as I sort of watch this evolution take place, your main job is to take issues, to take serious, not so serious issues and sell them like crazy. Just sell them. But yet you've had these series of mayors who are meek. They're terrible at selling. They're decent, sincere people. Most people couldn't even name the last few mayors. Most people don't even care and don't pay attention, but they've been like Steve Adler, a very decent, concerned person. He is an Austinite, came here for the same reasons as he admits as everyone else. The last mayor was the same way, very nice, decent guy, longtime Austinite. His name was Lee Leffingwell, but they couldn't cut through the clutter. They can't sell anything. They just can't. And otherwise, the job is pretty weak. So there's a backdrop. Austin, I think, intentionally has meek personalities as mayor. I don't think you want any part of a bolder personality. I just think most Austinites, because it's such a successful city, it's such a lucrative place, so many powerful people, don't really need to hear from you. Like, you just lay low and you come into a ribbon cutting ceremony. I think it's intentional. In a weird way, I don't think you want any part of someone who's going to be pretty bold and pretty in your face. I just don't think you want it. You need it, but you don't want it. So there's my explanation of why the face of the franchise continually turns out to be just the opposite of what the city needs. The city needs the face to be bold and clear and, hey, let me grab you and tell you what you need. And then you can vote yes or no. Instead, well, you get a funeral home director and you just doze off. But he's been on this show, which I think I appreciate. Had the guts to be on the show. I don't know how many people even cared because, again, once he starts talking, you doze off. But unlike most politicians, he's willing to do it. Most of them stay in their echo chamber. Most of them suck and just speak to people who kiss their butt. So he's at least willing to talk. It's just that nobody cares and pays attention. So over the weekend, Steve Adler, long story short, he's the current mayor of Austin. So for the 99% of you that are either on your way here or thinking about coming, and you'll be here in the next 2 years, he's the current mayor of Austin, but he's going to be done soon. I suspect the next mayor of Austin will not be quite as boring because that's hard to do, but probably not do a whole lot. Not be bold, not be clear. So he does a long interview over the weekend. There's no such thing as a short discussion with him. It just can't happen. But he does do I think I'll give him credit. These are nuanced issues. They're not. I know everyone wants a simple Trump-like answer to everything, but they're not. It's not that way. So he gets stuck trying to explain stuff. But he went there. He went to a few places. One of them is the money shot. One of them is the we're going to lose our magic kind of speech. And I can set everyone straight on that. So think in these terms. He's going to talk and then I'm going to sort of set it straight. Okay. Are his positions on these issues that radical? No. You try to make him out to be. You have no idea what radical is. People who talk about Austin being radical, you have no clue. My concern is that this slippery, not even a slippery slope, this snowball effect of Austin turning into Plano is just that ball is going down the hill so fast. He can't stop it. You don't want to stop it. Your friends that are coming here are the problems with it. So, Plano, here we come. You don't know where Plano is? Google it. Take a look at the strip centers. You'll know in a hurry. Plano, here we come. The issue of hiring and not hiring cops, it's been hijacked. His inability to be bold and clear made this problem worse. It sounds like, oh, you guys are anti-cop. He's tried to explain that's not necessarily true. Of course, the police union wants more cops and more money. It's exactly what unions do. So it has been hijacked by the Fox News crowd. In fact, by a lot of people. The answer is not quite so simple. He should say, well, of course the union's making noise. Of course the Fox News crowd is making noise about this. Automatically, the theory is more money spent, more cops automatically means it's all better. Not necessarily the case. He tries to explain it.
We are one of the safest big cities in the country, in part because we have such a good police force. And we have to be able to maintain that. I think the best way to encourage new officers to come is to maintain the quality of life that exists in this city. I mean, people come here for the same reasons I came here and you came here and other people came here too. Businesses are coming here because the people that they want to have work for them want to live in Austin, Texas. So I think that means we have to do something about the housing affordability and housing supply issue in our city. More than anything else, I think that's our existential challenge right now. I think that we're on a good track with policing. We're on a good track with homelessness. We're on a really good track with transportation, which was the big issue when I ran 8 years ago for being mayor. Our existential challenge right now is housing supply and affordability, because that determines who it is that lives here.
I know, wake up. I know, Jeff, my face is hurting already, and that was 45 seconds. I know. What's he talking about? I don't know. I mean, it is true. You're going to have a hard time hiring cops if they have to live 40 miles away. Yep. Everything will circle back to that. No doubt about it. Everything will circle back to that. So then I think the follow-up was about homicides. We could say the same thing all around the country. I mean, he's right. This is an incredibly safe place. It's not at all what people say. The cars aren't burning in the streets. It's incredibly safe. But the homicides, he says, have doubled. And that's true. I think he's being right about this point. They've doubled around the country. I know, again, the quick narrative, since all anyone ever wants to do is make it black and white, is, oh, I see the crime rate spikes because you're cutting back on cops or whatever. Probably not necessarily the answer. I'll be honest. I don't know what you think and why you think the homicide rates are doing what they're doing. It's a complicated mix. I'll be honest, I don't think his comment about the pandemic is necessarily wrong. It just doesn't have an answer to it.
Obviously, some of this comes with growth. We have seen homicide rates higher than really ever before. So how do you stick with it's a safe city, but we're seeing these homicide rates continually climb? We still have a month left.
Homicide's a big challenge for our city. In fact, our number this year is about double of what it was last year. Even with that, our rate of homicides is low compared to most other cities around the country. So if you start out with a really small number and you double it, you can still have a relatively small number. And that's what we're dealing with in this city. That said, I am real concerned about our rate having doubled, whether the ultimate number is relatively low or not. It's too many. But we're not the only city that's seeing that. Cities across the country are also seeing increases in homicide rates. I think it's more related to the pandemic, which is something that we're enduring in common with cities across the country, than it is any local policy that we've adopted or not adopted. Cities that doubled down a year and a half ago and 2 years ago and dramatically increased the number of officers are seeing their homicide rates go up. And that's because homicides are not stopped necessarily with the number of policemen that are out in the field. The shootings we had that killed and shot, injured multiple people down on 6th Street happened at a time when they were surrounded by police officers. We had more than the normal contingent on duty on 6th Street that night, but yet we still had the shootings. We have to get guns off our street, the illegal guns off our street. We have to deal with violence intervention and protection programs. We have to get women out of abusive homes before they get hurt rather than dealing with it after they get hurt. There are a lot of things we can do to prevent crime rather than just dealing with crime once it's already happened. And that's the way I think that we make Austin even safer than it is today, and how we make people feel safer in this city.
You know, I mean, somebody would say, well, you said you want to do those things, then do them. He's got a point. I mean, I know it's never popular to say he's got a point. The shootings that happen on East 6th Street, they're typically not happening by an Austin resident, but he's right. There's cops everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, some would say it's, it's changed. The number of cops everywhere has changed the look of East 6th Street anyway, which most local Austinites know you stay away from that place. But he's right. I don't know what that means. The pandemic is doing this. Well, I don't even know what that means. He didn't even follow up on that. I don't know that he's wrong. Why would that be? Going crazy? You can't say it's economics necessarily. I don't think it's a terrible answer on homicides. When I know we all wanted to hear, give me a clear answer, tell me why it happens, and I want an answer now. John McClellan is the co-founder and creator of ATX Hot Sauce, now in all 50 states and several retail outlets as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to let this social media rock star chef walk us through 4 different sauces, and then I'll taste, and we'll tell everyone why they should buy. You can give the science behind these, and then I'll make the simple recommendation. Go to atxhotsauce.com. All right,
I don't think
let's
anybody's
go.
heard the website.
Yeah, I know.
About you, Jeff, but it is atxhotsauce.com.
I'll say
I got that one right.
345 times, atxhotsauce.com. So let's do it.
I brought 4 flavors here, and we're going to test your palate today.
Okay.
And I only brought 4 because I didn't think you could handle 5 or 6.
Yes,
Probably a
enough.
smart move. Yeah. And so the first one we're going to try here is called Beet Heat. And just like the name implies, it has beets in it. It's made with red Fresno peppers. Red Fresnos are red peppers that are they're hotter than a jalapeno and a little bit less than a serrano. So not super hot here, just a lot of good, really good flavor. So we're going to start with this one, and then we're going to move up the chain.
Okay. I've had the beet heat, but okay.
Yeah, we're going to try it though.
It goes well with a cab. All right, Jeff's savoring beet
I'll
heat.
even do it with you, so that should be all right. Now remember, it is hot sauce.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's hot sauce. Trust me, man.
Wait,
It's hot
is
sauce.
that one hot to you?
No. A little.
Yeah. The great thing with the fermentation process is you get a bunch of the flavor right up front.
Yeah.
And then the heat comes, but then it dissipates pretty quickly, especially with the red Fresnos. You know, this is not a very spicy one, but it is a very tasty one. Goes on great on sandwiches.
Beet heat.
Beet heat. B-E-E-T. Heat.
All right. Go to atxhotsauce.com.
That's right.
He didn't give that at all, and I think it was a reasonable point with no great answer. I don't think so. And I thought that he covered himself pretty well by saying, "What do you mean? People are getting shot on 6th Street often, yet there's cops everywhere." I don't know. Why would the pandemic be doing this? Don't know that answer. Then the power outages. He provides no answer here. It is a rambling, disconnected response. I don't know that he's wrong because you get lost in the just falling asleep to his voice. It's complicated. I know nobody wants to hear it's complicated. It's complicated, and it's 20 years in the making. The power outages, the problem was created decades ago with a good theory that then was ruined by the people in statewide office over the past 15 years. In other words, it was to create a competitive marketplace for energy, which it turns out just the opposite ended up happening because it ended up with a few people, few companies providing the power. It ended up back with him. He doesn't provide much of an answer. I don't know what else he's supposed to say at this point, except hopefully we don't have a terrible storm. But talk to the statewide people.
Should that arise again, we've gone back to Austin Energy and said it's absolutely unacceptable that you can't do rolling brownouts or blackouts so that power goes on and off. It just doesn't go off and stay off. And I know that they're working on that. There's also action that ought to be happening at the state level to really harden and protect and contribute to the resiliency of the ERCOT, the statewide grid. And I'm still not convinced that the governor and the state are doing everything that they should be doing in that regard. We have to really prioritize people's safety and risk prevention rather than shareholder dividends. And we're not doing that yet to the degree that I think we need to.
I know. I get it. Trust me. The better way to communicate is, yes, here are the 3 things that are being done. Or the better way to communicate is, here are 2 things that need to be done. Here's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th that aren't being done that I'm concerned about. I know. He doesn't speak in those terms. I don't think you want a mayor that does speak in those terms. Then, okay, the issue of the day, everything circles back to affordability. The question is, he tries to, I've seen this for 20-something years, tries to explain how Boy, the most important thing any of us face is affordability. It used to be traffic and affordability. That's how great life is in Austin, that the only issues are traffic and affordability, and traffic's off the table for now. So everything is about affordability, right? That is the what I call prosperity guilt of Austin, Texas, and it's not going away. And he is the living, breathing proof of prosperity guilt. He's gonna try to answer, and then I'm gonna give you the reality. I'm gonna give you almost the exact moment the snowball to becoming Plano started, and it's not stopping.
The top priority this last year has got to be housing affordability and housing supply. That's the existential challenge that we have. Right now, Austin is a magical place, which is why people are so many are wanting to come here. We're a city where art is being created everywhere. If we're not able to do something about the housing affordability, we will be a city that continues to grow, but it'll be a city that can only be afforded by a small group of people, and will be a city that consumes art rather than a city that creates art. And if that were to ever happen, the culture and nature of this magical place would change. So that's got to be the priority this next year.
Okay, did I hear we've lost our magic? Is that what I heard? Oh boy. Okay, I think we might be past losing our magic at about the moment we had our 200th Urban Outfitters and our 100th Bed Bath & Beyond. Yeah, I think he knows this. I'm sorry, transplants. I'm sorry, everyone moving here. I know it's cooler than that horrible place you came from, but we've passed magic. Sorry, Mayor. What is amazing is what he said about, this is what's shocking. He said only a small number of people can afford to move here. No, that's what's amazing. What is the story that's out today? Austin is now the 7th most expensive place in the country. It is on pace to be in the top 4 very soon. It is essentially going to be within 2 years, according to Zillow, the most expensive place outside of a couple cities in California. Got it. See it coming. We see the trending. We see the magic gone, all that stuff. What is remarkable, he says only a small number of people can afford to move here. That's not true. What is amazing is the number of people that can and will afford to move here. It's not a small number. It is a large number. It's a giant Aspen, Colorado, with no end in sight. I know that's a weird thing to say, but there would be an example of only a small number of people can afford to live here. He's saying only a small number of people will be able to afford to live here. No, actually, a lot of people with a lot of money can afford to live here. So I think it's a bigger problem than, or if you want to call it a problem, prosperity is not so terrible. Those cranes are all over the city and they're not all over the rest of the state. It's not a terrible problem. But as we sit here and wring our hands about, how expensive it is, demand is outstripping supply, and demand is outstripping supply at an amazing rate, and it's an amazing rate of people that can't afford it. It's not a small neighborhood, it's a giant number of people that can afford it. Take Aspen, Colorado, not to that extreme, of course, but take a place that is super lucrative and just put it on steroids. This is already, and has been for some time, and I know somebody would say, I see, a white guy from West Austin is going to lecture us on diversity. No, I'm not. It's never been a very diverse city. It's got to be the least diverse city in the United States. I would say Austin is like a giant Google board meeting, but the Google board is probably more diverse than Austin. What do you do about that? He has no answer. He has no answer. There is no answer. There's none. I've heard it for 25 years. And the same storyline over and over again. we're going to lose the magic. I could say somebody would give the speech about losing our magic 15 years ago. We're going to lose our magic. We're going to lose musicians. They've been gone for 15 years. And it's not changing. More and more people with a lot of money just keep coming and coming and coming. I think the reality is that the tipping point is probably we're just going to have to follow the stock market. That's the indicator, I guess. I don't think he wants to be, I think he's trying to, again, doing a terrible job of selling, as usual. But he is living out what in Austin I call prosperity guilt. And that is, damn, it's gotten really expensive. But man, I sure am happy to sell my house for 10 times what I bought it for with cash. It's that. So this magic that he talks about, I'm going to tell you, now people always wonder, oh, you Austinites complain. I'll tell you when I knew my hometown, I knew things had changed, or starting that snowball down to Plano. And I say down. There was a moment, I don't think Steve Adler was mayor. In fact, I'm positive he wasn't mayor. But I remember thinking to myself, man, we'd already started a long time ago. Wow, things are different. It's a different environment. It's very plastic, becoming very corporate. You could feel it changing. But then there was that moment, this one afternoon, when I remember reading the story. Didn't even get that much play. Reading the story, and it was about a condo tower that the Condo Tower Association, whatever it was called, was suing to change the city ordinance on music and noise. Wow. Man, that group of, 200 people, 500 people, whatever the number was. Wealthy condo tower. Let's go back in time before they were everywhere, right? Before you right now, you cannot throw up a condo tower tall enough and fast enough, and it will fill up. It will. I mean, you just can't do it fast enough. But go back in time, and there was this moment, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but they had the tenants, the residents, got together with the developer and said, look, we've moved into these expensive places, and the music's too damn loud, and we need to change it. And they actually went to the city and said, we all live above this club, and you need to turn the music down. I thought, oh my gosh, I've never heard such a thing here. You move downtown and it's loud, and now you want to turn it down. Yes, they won. They won. If you're looking for this moment of lost magic, there's your moment of lost magic. The exact year, I can't remember. And then, of course, that became the rule of the day. And that is, just to put it in Austin standards, that was the moment big money development won. Now, I'm not saying big money development's a terrible thing, but if you're trying to find, what are you guys really whining about? What is it you're always complaining about? That's it. That's where you saw this moment where it started to change. And that is that a 55-year-old wealthy person living in $1 million condo tower, and can't really blame them. I mean, they came from, wherever, San Francisco, wherever, and they want to go to bed at 9:30. And they moved downtown because that's a cool place to live, and it's central to everything, and the places are cool, and you got a cool view of the lake. And the only thing is I can't go to sleep because your music is too damn loud. Turn it down. They got their friends together and said, make sure you turn that music down at X every night. And they won. And then there you go. Is it the only reason why the magic was lost? No. The art class got priced out a long time before Steve Adler was whining about it. The art crowd was pushed out a long time ago. When he says art crowd, there was a time. I try to give this speech once every 3 months to someone. There was a time when if you went on South Congress, you had not just street vendors. I mean, you had artists all over the place selling stuff. There's musicians all over the place selling stuff. Well, as that became another Urban Outfitters, another Bed Bath & Beyond, another condo tower, they kept getting pushed further and further and further and further and further away. Same thing happened to musicians. And just money won. What are you going to do about that? I mean, if I were building condo towers, I wouldn't turn the money away. If I'm selling my house, I'm not turning the money away. You can't really blame us. The prosperity killed that magic. And poor guy was trying to sell the concept of let's get the magic back. Same story. You can give that interview, that answer, put it 3 years from now, you're going to hear the exact same rambling conversation. What are we going to do about affordability? Yes, there are little things here and there, but the fact of the matter is a lot of people, money chases money. Brains are chasing brains. For the very reason this economy is on fire in Austin, Texas, as opposed to most other places, the very thing that he says killed off the magic.
From the Hot Pie Media Studios in Austin, Texas, it's the Jeff Ward Show. Listen at jeffwardshow.com.